So today I'm going to be doing a Q&A video. I've been meaning to do this for a long time, just haven't got around to it. These are questions that I've been asked through my past surrogacy and then this surrogacy. I did another video with my husband. I just wanted to ask him a few things because I think it's important for a family, like to show them that they are a part of this as well, and what their take on this is. So the first question I usually get asked is, what made you decide to become a surrogate? And I always say, and I had never actually thought about it, and then I watched a show, and the episode was talking about the woman had breast cancer, and she would have to use a surrogate if she ever wanted to have a child of her own. So that led to a documentary about, or after the show aired, about surrogates and real life experiences and stuff, and I started thinking that, like, that's kind of cool. Like, why haven't I never thought about this? I don't want another child, but I liked being pregnant, and if I can help a couple accomplish a baby, like, why not? So then the trick was getting my husband on board. So it just so happened that there was a rerun of the same episode in the documentary afterwards when my husband was home. So we were watching it, and I made the comment, was like, oh, well, that'd be cool to do. And he's like, you want to have another man's baby? I was like, it's not a man's baby, it's another couple's baby. So he just kind of like laughed it off or whatever. And then I dug more deeper into it, and then I dug deeper into it, and he realized I was serious when I kept talking about it, and so we looked more into it, and yeah, the rest is history. So another question is, what is the hardest and the best part about being a surrogate? Well, the hardest part, I think there's two hardest parts. Obviously, the emotional roller coaster that comes with surrogacy. You're giving up all control. You never know, like, what your body's gonna do, how it's gonna respond to medication, how you're going to respond to everything, if the embryo is going to be accepted, if miscarriages, it's just the whole emotional roller coaster. The whole thing is just an emotional roller coaster. It's a waiting game. So yeah. And then sometimes you have 3 or 4 transfers and it never turns out in a baby. So the parents have put so much time and effort and money into it. You've wasted 1.5 years to 2 years and nothing's come of it. So that's obviously the hardest part. Another hardest part is, like, leaving my 6-year-old for transfer for 3 days. My first journey, he was 3 years old, so he didn't really care that much. He was completely fine. My parents took care of him. It was like a vacation for him. But now he was 6 this time, so it's a lot harder on him. He's just, really attached, and I just knew it was a little hard on him this time, and so it made me, like, have a hard time with it when I was leaving, but he had fun. The best part is obviously giving the baby to the parents, whether it's their first child or whether it's their 3rd child. It's, a dream come true for them. So another question is, were you attached to the baby? I was not. A lot of people do say they were attached to it, but not like in an unhealthy way. It's just that, but still attached. I wasn't really attached to my own son when I was carrying him, so I guess it's kind of the same. I didn't really get attached to him until I held him and saw him and all that love poured out, and you're like, oh, this is what I was missing. But yeah, no, I kind of looked at it as like a niece or nephew or someone I was babysitting. Of course, you want them to be safe, and you're going to do everything in your power to keep them safe, but I wasn't really attached. Another question, how did you and the parents get matched, and what is the process like? Well, the parents from the first journey, we got matched on a website, and we saw each other's profiles, what they were looking for, what I was looking for, and we thought we were a good match. And if you're not with an agency, that's called being independent, and the parents and you kind of have to work together to get all the appointments done, to get you're just more hands-on. It's just, you have to do a lot of the legwork. Now, if you're with an agency, I went to an agency, the parents went to that same agency, we both hand in our profiles of what we're willing to work with, our views on termination and abortion and how many we were willing to transfer. And then if the agency sees fit, they'll match us. I don't even remember what I was saying. Agencies. Yeah, so the agency, if you're with an agency, they do the legwork for everybody, and they're just like the middleman. But, yeah, and I don't know how it exactly works on the parent side, but like for me, I was with the agency. I turned in my profile. They did a background check on me. I was accepted. They matched me with a couple. Then they send an email from the couple to me, and if I liked what I read, if I liked their story, then I would request a phone call. Then we would talk on the phone. Oh my goodness. Take 15. Anyways, matching. Yeah, if I liked what their story was, and I thought that we would be a good match, we would get on the phone, talk about our own families and upbringings and surrogacy and all this stuff. So after that, if you feel like it's still a good match, you tell your agency. They'll match you officially, and that's when everything begins. Medical screening, psych screening, all that stuff. Where was I? Does the transfer hurt? No, it's just uncomfortable. I think it's kind of like a pap smear, except it's just uncomfortable. You have to have a really, really full bladder. And like, of course, they're pushing on your stomach and then shoving things up there. And it's just like, dude, if you don't stop, I'm about to pee. But yeah, then you have to lay down for like 10 minutes. And of course, you're just like, okay, 1 more minute. Okay, 30 more seconds. And then you can finally pee. But then it feels like you're going to pee the embryo out. I know that's not how it works, but you still feel that way. Well, I still feel that way. I get this one asked a lot too. Why are you on birth control if you're trying to have a baby? Basically, they're just trying to control your period. So they put you on birth control from anywhere from like 10 days to 17 days or something. They take you off birth control. You have your period like 3 days later or so. And then that's when you start your baseline appointments, your monitoring appointments, and try to thicken up your lining. Is it your baby? No, it's not my baby. There's two types of surrogates. There's a gestational surrogate and a traditional surrogate. Gestational surrogate, you take a special part of the mom, a special part of the dad, put them together, and they create an embryo. And then they put the embryo inside you. And hopefully 9 months later, you're good. But yeah, and if it's a traditional surrogate, you're actually using your own egg. So it is biologically your child. How much do you get paid? There's variations, but surrogates can they set their own comp. It can be anywhere from 0 to like 23,000, but more commonly it's usually 18 to 23,000. And then if you're an experienced surrogate, then you get a little bit more. Are you still in contact with parents? Not with the last parents I did. I'm not really in contact with them. I still do get updated pictures like on her birthday, or they sent me some pictures for like her preschool pictures or daycare. I can't remember, but it was really cute. But I love that. I mean, they don't have to, so I really appreciate that. What if the parents change their mind? Well, they can't. I mean, once you're pregnant, nobody can change their mind. But up until transfer, people can still back out. What if they have twins and only want one kid? Can you take one? No, it's not your baby. But a general rule is don't put any more embryos than you're willing to carry. So if you only want one, if the parents only want one, or if you only are willing to carry one child, then only transfer one embryo. Because sometimes it does split, so then you're going to have twins. But, no, it's their baby. They're legally responsible for it. What if the parents die? In the contract, they do put like a next of kin. So if something did happen to them, then, their next of kin would take it over. So you're never responsible for the baby. But yeah, I think that's all the questions that I can think of. But if you guys have any more questions, feel free to, ask. There's no stupid questions. I've asked plenty of ridiculous questions in the beginning, so I'm not going to judge. But yeah, so that's all the questions. Hi guys, today's a little different. I brought in my husband.
She's forcing me.
He really doesn't want to do this. But I think it's important because it's not just me going through it, it's my entire family. So there's a few questions that I'm going to ask him and then questions that he's been asked. So the first one is, how did you feel when I first brought up surrogacy?
I thought you were a little nuts.
Why?
Who really wants to be pregnant, let alone with a baby that isn't yours and you don't want to keep? So it's a little crazy.
What's the hardest part of surrogacy for you?
There's nothing really hard for me. It's I'm kind of along for the ride. Like, support my wife and be there, and I don't have to take shots in the butt or anything.
The next one is, were you attached to the baby at all?
Nope. It was like maybe a friend had a baby, not really even like a niece or a nephew, but just a friend having a baby. So no attachment really.
And is it weird for your wife to be pregnant with another man's baby?
If you put it like that, yeah.
Well, it is like that.
Well, it is, but it's also another woman's baby, so.
So it's another family's baby.
Yeah, it's just another family's baby altogether, so no, it's not that weird.
Now, one that he was asked was, did your wife have to have sex with another man?
No! I think that pretty much covers that question.
That would have been a no.